Welcome, dear students. In this video, we will learn about the simple present tense. So now you need to know where simple present tense is used. The simple present tense is used to describe facts, to describe general truths, universal truths. For example, the sun sets in the west. The sun rises in the east. Now this is the simple present tense, and this is a universal truth. A universal truth or a general truth or a fact is something that does not change with time. We have learned in the previous video that tenses actually show the time of that action, of a particular action. So, when you talk about facts and general truths, there is no limit of time. Time does not affect them in any way. When you say Pakistan is an agricultural country, Pakistan is always an agricultural country. You would never say that Pakistan was an agricultural country. Moreover, when we talk about a habitual action, something that happens regularly, something that is part of the routine, the schedule, it happens usually, you use the simple present tense. For example, I wake up at 6 o'clock. So this is a part of my routine, my schedule. Or you go to school 3 days a week. Now again, this is a regular action. This happens usually. This is part of a routine, a schedule. So we use the simple present tense here. So we now come towards the structure of simple present tense. How do we make a sentence in the simple present tense? So there are two cases in the simple present tense, but let me first remind you of pronouns. Now pronouns, as you know, are words used instead of nouns, like he, she, it, they, all of these are pronouns. So we have divided these pronouns into three simple categories, you can say. The first person pronoun, the second person pronoun, and the third person pronoun. So the first person is, as you know, it's me, who is talking, who is directly involved in any manner. So the first person pronouns are I and we. I for the singular, we for the plural. The second person is you. So the second person pronoun for both the singular and the plural is you. And then comes the third person. So the third person pronouns are he, she, it for singular and they for plural. So you need to learn them, you need to remember them so that when I or when somebody else uses the term first person pronouns or second person pronouns, you must remember them. You must know what he or she is talking about. Moving on and coming back to the structure of the simple present tense, there are two cases. The first case is that if there are the first person pronoun, the second person pronoun, and the third person plural pronoun, which means I and we, the first person, you, the second person pronoun, and they, which is the third person plural pronoun, if they come, or if there is a plural subject means the noun, for example, the cats, Ali and Sarah. right? So you will use the first form of the verb. For example, I write neatly. The first form of the verb is used. You write neatly. They read books. They play cricket. The cats drink milk. So you see, only the first form of the verb is used. And all of these sentences are in the simple present tense. I read in class 6. We love our teachers. They grow flowers. You wear neat clothes. So you need to focus on the subject, which are the pronouns or the nouns. I, we, they, you, the cats. These are all called subjects, which are doing something actually. The verb is being performed by the subject. The verb is read and the subject is I, who is reading. The verb is love and the subject is we. So you need to focus on the subject, which means the noun or the pronoun used, and the form of the verb. And the second case is that if the subject is the third person singular pronoun, that are he, she or it, or a singular noun itself. For example, Sarah, for example, the cat, for example, the dog, for example, the book. All of these are singular nouns. So if there are singular nouns or third person singular pronouns as he, she or it, you will use the first form with SOES, which means that you will add SOES to the main verb, to the first form of the verb. For example, she goes to school. I go to school. Only the first form of the verb is used with I, go. But when it comes to she or he, you will say she goes to school. You added ES. I write neatly. But when the subject is she writes neatly. They read books. But when the subject becomes she or Sarah, Sarah reads books. S is added. So you again need to focus on the subject, on the pronoun or noun, and then need to decide which form of the verb is going to be used. More examples are, she reads in class 6. He loves his teachers. She grows flowers. The mother wears neat clothes. So the next question that comes is that how would you know that you need to add S or ES? We have just learned that if there is the third person singular or the singular noun itself, you need to put an S and ES at the end of the first form of the verb. So how would you know if you need to put an S or if you need to add an ES? So there are some tricks, some key points to remember regarding this, which will help you. Number one, for most verbs, we add S, simply an S to the base verb, to the first form of the verb. For example, come, you add an S and it becomes comes. Walk, you add an S and it becomes walks. Number two, if your verb ends in a vowel plus Y, for example, play, it ends in A, which is a vowel, and then Y. So you will simply add S and it becomes plays. Say, it again ends in AY. So you'll simply add an S. So if the verb ends in a vowel plus Y, you will again add S. But if the verb ends in a consonant plus Y. For example, study. Now D is a consonant and then Y. For example, fly. L is a consonant and then Y. Try. R is a consonant and then Y. So for this case, what you will do is you remove the Y at the end and then add IES. What do? You remove the Y at the end and add IES. What happens is that Y changes to I and then you add ES. Thirdly, there are verbs that end in O, double S, CH, X or Z. So all those verbs that end in these letters, you will add ES to them. For example, go, it ends in O, so you'll add ES. For example, wash, it ends in SH and you add ES and it becomes washes. For example, kiss, it ends in double S and you have to add ES. So these were some keys and they'll really help you if you learn them. So I hope that you have now learned how to make and construct sentences, positive or affirmative sentences in the simple present tense. These sentences are called positive sentences or affirmative sentences. And we'll be learning how to make the negative and interrogative in the next video clips. So in order to make sure that you have really understood the concept, I would suggest and I would ask you all to make 10 sentences about yourself or about your surrounding, about real life situations in the simple present tense, so that you know that you have understood it. You need to practice. So after making them, ask your teacher to check them, or you can also type them in the comment box below and I'll make sure that I check them. This is the way you will yourself judge if you have understood the concept or not. Thank you so much. I hope you really enjoyed learning.